It's time to go on the record with WRAL News.
Duke Health and Durham Tech working together to try to fill the state's critical nursing shortage. A presidential tour of the advanced manufacturing program at Nash Community College. You see the president and first lady there. Visually impaired baristas learning the business and the craft of coffee at Wake Tech. You'll notice a theme here, community colleges in the headlines in North Carolina, and they have a new leader for the 8th time in 8 years. Tonight we're talking one-on-one with the new system president, Jeff Cox, who both state Democrats and Republicans support. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Lena Tillett. Before we launch into that discussion about Jeff Cox, I do want to tell you a bit about him. The Allegheny County native has served in education for more than 30 years now as a teacher, a principal, a school superintendent, and a community college president. That last role took him to Wilkes County, to Wilkes Community College, where he served since 2014. He also has his doctoral degree in educational leadership. Dr. Cox, thanks so much for joining me. First of all, I've listed all the big bullets of your career. Of course, there's so much more to life than that, so much more nuance. So tell us, why education? What led you to want to be a teacher?
Well, thank you, and thank you for having me here with you. You know, I would love to tell you that I knew since I was, a small child that I wanted to enter education. That's always was my career aspiration. The truth is, I wasn't sure in college, like a lot of our students, what I wanted to do. And I kind of defaulted back to the things that I knew. Having come through high school, I knew I really enjoyed that time that I had in high school, and I liked English. So I decided maybe to be an English major and go back and teach at the high school level. So that's where I started.
You said something that stuck with a lot of us during your first public appearance as system president. Literally, the room just got quiet thinking about that. Let's bring up the quote here. You said, across the Southeast and in North Carolina, if you're born poor, there's a 2 out of 3 chance you're going to stay poor. I think our community colleges are at the very heart of changing that statistic. Explain that.
Yeah, well, it's a sad statistic, but if you look at the economics across our country, there are pockets around the country where if you're born poor, there's great economic opportunity, and most people who are born poor are able to climb out of poverty. But in a lot of the southeastern part of the United States, the economic opportunity hasn't been as prevalent. That's changing now. We're seeing a lot of growth and development, particularly here in North Carolina, but there's still pockets of places where if you're born into poverty, the real challenges about getting out of poverty and getting into jobs where you're earning a living wage. So that's what excites me and really has drawn me to the community college system, is I do think we're at the very heart of solving that problem. We are the opportunity for most of our citizens in the state to pursue some sort of post-secondary credential, which you're going to need if you're going to get a living wage job in the modern economy.
Some would say any higher education could be the vehicle to doing that, but you specifically, I'm sure you could have gotten a job at a 4-year institution, but you chose community colleges. What's unique about community colleges that you think can bring people out of poverty?
Well, so our universities are fantastic. I'll just say that at the outset. I'm all 3 university degrees I have served me well over the years. But our university system is kind of set up to identify talent and recruit talent into the universities and help those folks go on to pursue their careers. Our community colleges, though, are more about talent development. Some of the Ivy League schools like to brag about how exclusive they are, only a 7% acceptance rate. We like to brag about we have a 100% acceptance rate with our community colleges. We take everybody who applies and find a place for all of our students to grow and thrive and work toward earning some sort of credential that's going to allow them to climb the economic ladder and do better for themselves and their families.
I did want to single out one woman we talked to this month, actually. She's from Edgecombe County. In her 40s, she decided to go to community college to pursue a career in medicine, something she'd always wanted to do, didn't do because she had a child early. And she was just selected for a coveted internship at the Mayo Clinic. I want to share what she said.
I feel like I'm living my life in reverse. Right? I'm doing all the things that I wanted to do when I was younger, but I was a mother, and that, obligation obviously came first.
Dr. Cox, is that the type of student you're looking for?
It is that type of student and every other type of student. But yes, that's we serve students who are still in high school through all of our fantastic dual enrollment programs, our Career and College Promise, where kids can get dual credit, early college programs. But yes, adult learners are becoming an increasing focus for us as we try to meet the workforce needs across our state. We're the #1 state in the country for business. And if we're going to stay that way, we're going to have to become the #1 place in the country for workforce development. And folks just like this young lady who have gone back to pursue a second career, that's the face of our community college system. So we're serving students from high school all the way through senior citizens and everywhere in between. Anyone who's wanting to pursue a better life, to get a better job, earn a better living to support their family, we have a program for you, and it's affordable and accessible.
I want to talk about that workforce development part because I know that is a priority for you. But first, let's talk about your time at Wilkes Community College, because you're credited with boosting the completion rate there from about 25% to 55% in a few years. I mean, that's significant. How did you do that?
Well, we had a great team there at Wilkes Community College, and when we developed our strategic plan, we talked about this issue just very openly, that, our students were there at Wilkes Community College because they wanted to have a better life. And if only 1 out of 4 students who came to us wanting to get a 2-year degree were actually obtaining that degree, I asked the faculty and staff in a big convening, how many of you here in the room are satisfied with that statistic? And of course, nobody was. And so we started talking about the economic imperative. If we're really going to make a difference in our community, we have to get a lot more students across the finish line. And we set a bold goal as a team to double that graduation rate in the next 5 years. And the whole faculty and staff, our leadership team, and the community around us came together to help make that happen. And we did.
How did you do it, though?
Well, so I'd love to tell you we figured out the one thing that it would take to make the difference, but the truth is it was dozens of things.
Okay.
We put a career coach in every high school. We got $1 million grant from a local philanthropy to put a career coach in every high school so that kids from high school could start thinking about what their career choice would be and what the educational pathway it would take to get to that career. So that was one piece of it. We totally revamped our advising model. We knew students needed a lot more direct one-on-one attention once they got to us at the college to get on the right pathway and stay on that pathway all the way to graduation and so they could complete. We put in wraparound services. What we found was most of our students, and this is true across the state, I would argue, most of the students are not dropping out of their community college classes because they cannot handle the academic load. They're stopping out because life has gotten in the way.
Right.
In some cases, a car broke down and they just didn't have the $400 it was going to take to fix the transmission. In other cases, their job schedule changed. A lot of our students work 1 or 2 or 3 part-time jobs while they're going to college. So we put in a comprehensive system of wraparound services to help when students hit one of those barriers to identify, was there a resource at the college that we could leverage to help help that student get over the hump? Or was there a community connection somewhere where there are resources available that could help those students get over whatever the struggle was they were having? And
comprehensive, certainly. Yeah.
And those efforts and a lot of others, we got us where we needed to be.
And I know you plan on implementing that on the system level, so I want to get to that in a bit. We just have to take a quick break. Coming up, more with our guest, the new community college system president, Jeff Cox.
Millions spent on a new e-court system.
They're trying to do surgery with a butter knife.
Claims of glitches and negligence.
Did I spend extra time in jail as a result of some sort of computer defect?
Inside a troubled system you paid for. Monday at 6.
Only WRAL has the tools
Sky 5 over the sea
and the experts to bring you the moments the moment they happen.
I understand you have some brand new information.
That's the difference with WRAL News. That's coverage you can count on.
We're back now with the new head of the state community college system, Dr. Jeff Cox. I want to talk about your vision for the system now, because you said this a couple months ago and it was really interesting. Let's play that.
We've got businesses and industries who are yearning to have qualified employees. And we've got folks who are living in poverty who are yearning for a better tomorrow. And our community colleges are the bridge between those two. Absolutely, we have to be that bridge.
We've heard Governor Cooper talk so much in recent years about the need for developing the state's workforce. So how do you do that? How do you be that bridge?
Well, we're going to be working hand in glove with all the businesses and industries across the state. We have to be out in communities across the state, having conversation with the leaders of business and industry that really understand what their needs are. We've hired a new Vice President of Economic Development, John Loyak, who has spent years working with the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina. He is tuned in completely to this workforce development issue across our state. He knows the communities all across the state, inside and out, and it's he's going to really be able to revolutionize the way we're serving the workforce needs of our state. So it's really in partnership with business and industry, but we have to meet them where they are. And again, we've talked about the students who are coming out of high school looking for great work opportunities and careers. But we also have a lot of adults who are in careers that maybe don't pay a great wage or sort of dead-end jobs. Again, we need to be the bridge to connect the needs of business and industry with the needs of our workforce who are looking to upskill and earn a better living.
What are the biggest gaps right now in terms of the workforce, and how can community colleges help fill it?
Well, we hear a lot about the trades is one place where if you think about plumbers, electricians, HVAC, craftsmen, the average age of those folks are about 55 years old. There's not a huge group of folks coming behind them to fill the pipeline. So if you're in the construction business, is one of the legislators I talked with yesterday, that is his occupation when he's not here in Raleigh serving as a legislator. He talked about the dire need to find these kind of tradespeople, and those are great jobs and they pay really well. But we've got a disconnect between people who still in some ways kind of look down their nose at those kinds of jobs. And that's a great career for somebody, but not my own kid. So we have to remove that stigma from these jobs that are helping to build our country. We have to remove that stigma and recognize that those jobs in many ways are going to provide a better living than a lot of white collar jobs are going to provide. So if you think about what it takes to build the country and keep us thriving and go into all the advanced manufacturing facilities across our state, these aren't the old dirty factories that our grandparents worked in. These modern factories are bright and many air conditioned, very nice facilities. And they pay great wages, and so we have to destigmatize the idea of blue collar work, and understand these are great careers. And for folks who are out there living below a living wage. The community colleges can be a quick and effective way to go from a job where you're not making enough to support yourself or your family into a great career that could last a lifetime.
That is fascinating, destigmatizing these blue-collar jobs. How do you make it more appealing to young people? Or do you have to do it younger, maybe when they're in grade school?
I think that's exactly part of the strategy that we need to be embracing is getting out and connecting with middle school students and high school students, certainly, to expose them to these different career opportunities that are often right in their backyard. A lot of young people want to get out and move away from home and go to other places, but many of our young people would like to stay in their own communities, but they're just not connected to what the great job opportunities are that may just be right down the road. So exposing students to what those opportunities are and helping build a clear pipeline from, you're going to graduate from high school, here's an apprenticeship program that you might consider going into the local company down the road and get a start. And once they're exposed to that and see how great the work environment actually is in a lot of these places, I think we can help those companies fill their talent pipeline quite effectively.
I said at the top that you are the 8th system president in 8 years. That's a lot of turmoil for the system, and we've heard about it and certainly reported on it over the years. And right now there's legislation moving through the General Assembly that would make some changes to both how the system president is hired and the power of the system president. You would have to be confirmed by state lawmakers now, giving the General Assembly power over the position. And also the bill would give the system president more power to run the 58 campus system. So I want to take that in two parts. Do you agree that your role should be confirmed? And this would be happening, of course, after you because you're already in the role.
Right. Well, I'll leave that for the legislators to decide, what role they want to play in confirming any kind of future president. We've got a great board. Currently 22 members, counting the one SGA president who is a non-voting member. But we have a 21-member board, and Democrats and Republicans. The politics really, as I've been observing over the last year, watching our state board, they work really hard to keep politics kind of out of the boardroom and really lean into doing the work to try to support our community colleges and elevate our community colleges and the opportunities that we provide for our students. So I think that's going to continue. Whatever the ultimate governance structure is, we'll certainly abide by whatever the new legislation is and keep moving things forward to support our community colleges.
Well, Dr. Cox, thank you so much for your time and best of luck leading the system.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me with you here today. And let me say a few words about our fantastic community college system.
Absolutely. All right, coming up, diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI. It's in the headlines again, this time for efforts to try to ban its use. We'll talk about it after the break. Welcome back. Following the murder of George Floyd and the reckoning on race experienced around the globe, many people heard the term DEI for the first time, diversity, equity, and inclusion. It often comes in the form of a training, or maybe there's even a DEI professional in-house. There's now a national effort in Republican-controlled state legislatures to end such training. In North Carolina, a bill is headed to the state house. It doesn't explicitly call for a ban on DEI. Instead, it bans state agencies, including public universities, from asking employees or prospective hires to take any action regarding, quote, matters of contemporary political debate or social action. Dr. Tori Staten is the Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion with the Greater Raleigh Chamber. Dr. Staten, great to see you. So can you share what is DEI and what is it meant to do?
Yeah, DEI programs or initiatives are those whose main priorities are to create cultural knowledge, to encourage cultural exchange, and to foster dialogue that leads to healthy cultural understanding and coexistence. It can take place at three levels: the people or the employee level, the policy level, or the practices level. All companies are unique in their DEI journey and have different methods to their own DEI initiatives. Some places will have identity-based resource groups to engage people in cultural exchange. Some companies have instituted company policies where they have to contract with a certain number of minority or women-owned businesses as a part of their DEI initiatives. Some even host cultural events to celebrate employees, to increase belonging and beyond. Last week, I attended a great Juneteenth event that was celebratory, but also really informational for participants in the program. And so DEI initiatives are often used to improve culture and belonging while also adding new perspectives to community engagement. DEI is a journey for everyone, and everyone gets to decide what their journey consists of.
I've heard some people worry that the trainings that are held around race almost inherently promote liberal policies. How do you respond to that?
So the Raleigh Chamber doesn't have any stance on the liberal nature of any of those things, but we do believe it's important for all to have conversations about what's happening. Those conversations will include sharing expertise, vocalizing experiences, and encouraging healthy exchange on various topics.
What could happen if this type of training goes away?
So in the business community and communities beyond, there could be a multitude of impacts, but I'll focus on the business community. Firstly, without DEI initiatives, there could be less access to a more extensive and inclusive talent pool. Many of those top job seekers favor the presence of diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives within companies while completing their job search. And without those training and initiatives, you attract that top talent. You can't attract that top talent, right? Secondly, companies can lose that top talent that they've attracted. When employees feel as though their workplace is diverse, equitable, and inclusive, they feel as though they belong in that space. And the result is higher employee retention and lower employee turnover, which is much easier on the company. When employees don't feel that way, they're more likely to leave and find another job. And then lastly, that sense of belonging for employees could wane or be lost. DEI initiatives are good for staff morale, they're good for team inclusion, and an overall sense of productivity. And companies want employees to feel that they are productive. They want employees to feel as though they belong to the company, and they want to express that sense of belonging. And they want employees to like where they work and feel comfortable and feel safe in the workplace. And there are many more impacts of DEI programs. I think the positive impacts of DEI programs, initiatives, and training are those that companies don't want to lose.
What about in universities? I mean, how is it best used there? Is it just to try to make sure that students and staff feel comfortable within the space, or is it something more?
I don't want to speak to university practices, but I know that DEI programs and initiatives are effective in all places.
All right, so I know that you're working on a DEI conference, and it's coming to Raleigh in July. Who are you hoping to join, and what's the point of it?
Yeah, so we're hoping that business leaders, community leaders, DEI practitioners, and really everyone can join. This is our 6th annual DEI conference, and it has many goals and many points. Our theme is equity, prioritizing people, practice, and policy, and we really look forward to engaging people on the business community in the DEI space. We want to create a safe space for practitioners, for business leaders, and for community members, and even more to engage on best practices within the DEI space. We want to introduce expertise, whether that's through consultancy, great experiences companies have had, and we want to ensure that companies at any point in their DEI journey can leave with something that they can use. There are lots of people who are at different spaces in their DEI journey, and we want everybody to walk away with something.
Tori Staten with the Greater Raleigh Chamber, thank you so much for your time. If you have something to say about tonight's discussion, you can find me on social media. Have a great night. Leave a comment and share this video with your friends. With daily uploads, there will always be a conversation.